Alright guys, we're back again, and we're still in this fucking suite in Warsaw, but I looked at apartments the other day, and I'm expecting to get something in the next couple of weeks, so the quality of these fucking videos will definitely be on the improve, but for now, I'm just dropping all this fucking data, this dime, and gauging demand, and I'll continue with this story of things that your father should have taught you, and if not your father, maybe your teacher, maybe some sort of mentor. But I know that there's a lot of guys, even if they're older, that have never been taught any of these sort of dynamics. I think that they'll understand them as they hear it, but they've never really heard it explained as directly as this. Because when you explain power dynamics, specifically to a man, as a powerful man, I mean, I'm incredibly fucking, by anyone's measure, I'm rich. You know, I'm worth over $10 million. I've fucking been around drugs. I've been around drug dealers, gangsters, people would say mobsters. I've been in prison, I've fucking been in the army. I've been around all sorts of different types of powerful people. And I have witnessed a lot of fucking, just the social dynamics that go along with it. And I'll start out with, if you're under 25, I would say maybe even under 30, if you're in the West, you don't really have anything to add to anything. Like, you don't really know anything that's worth knowing. So when people are talking to you, specifically if you're around older people and you're adding your opinion, it's gonna come across wrong. Unless you're a fucking absolutely exceptional guy on that topic and you have results in that field. If I'm sitting there talking about business to another guy my age and there's a guy there and he's 24, say, and then he interjects or he adds his opinion, but he isn't wealthy, he isn't successful by any measure, then I would really take it as a slap in the face, and a lot of other guys will as well. And people will think that this guy's defective in some way. He doesn't understand the order of things, and he also can't hold his tongue. He has to fucking interject. He doesn't understand that he's in a lesser position. I mean, women can say that all women are equal, but men, we all know that there's fucking calibers and ranks and tiers, and the only guys that disagree with that are guys that don't really want to play the game. And this is not really what I'm about. If you just want to be a fuck up, if you just want to be incredibly average, low value, and you want to stay that way forever, this isn't the channel for you, because I have no interest in that. I only have interest in helping guys out that want to become something. Ideally guys who are in a position where they're starting from a low position, because they'll come to realize over time that it's somewhat of a strength to be an unknown force. You don't really have as much of the expectations. When you're a complete unknown person, you know, maybe people think that you don't really have much of so you don't have an audience, you're unknown. It's not really valuable for people with an audience to attack you. So even if you say and do dumb things, it's not really gonna be punished. So you can afford to fail and fuck up. When you get successful, if you fail and fuck up and do things wrong, it gets publicized. So you can find out a lot of my shit that's public on the net. You can see what I used to do for work, things that I've done, successes and failures that I've had in different fields. And what I'll say is, so under 25, if you're at a dinner table or something with older people, you have very little to add. You shouldn't really talk a lot unless you talk to. People don't really want to hear your stories. A lot of the shit that you're going to talk about is going to be incredibly low value shit. So unless it's just a lighthearted sort of fucking meet, it's just a lighthearted bit of fun, just keep your mouth mostly closed and fucking use these. A lot of guys now, they don't really understand the concept of listening. They just think, oh, well, I need to fucking get what I have to say out ASAP. And what they have to say is, for the most part, complete shit. They're just adding really no point to the conversation. They add a lot of crap that they hear from other people. You will ask them straight out why they just said that, and it'll be some shit that they read online, or, oh, I heard this from a mate, or I heard this from a friend, or my friend's doing this. I used to get a lot with investing. I would say outright, you know, that I'm investing in this, I'm investing in that market, I'm doing this. And people with no money would come to me and be like, oh, I don't know, that's quite risky, that move, and this might fucking, you know, fall over, or oh, I think this is a better market. you don't have any results. So this, the fact that you're even telling me that, shows me that you fucking don't understand basic communication, basic fucking dynamics of power. It's like if I was at the gym, and I'm working out, and some fat dude comes over and says, oh, that's not how you do a bicep curl. And he's fat, but he still has like skinny arms. Why would I ever listen to him? Why would I even acknowledge him? The fact that he's come over to me to say that, I would just assume that he must have some sort of a massive defect. A lot of guys don't really have any self-awareness. They completely are a massive blind spot to themselves. And you need to pick that up as early as possible. So if you're under 25, you should rarely talk, you should be listening. And if you're specifically under 21, you shouldn't really talk, maybe at all. Specifically, again, once you're around, in that case, 25 plus, you should talk very little. You should be using fucking listening 90% and talking 10% of the time. Because anything that you can add to the conversation is likely just some trivial shit that could have just been searched for on Google. It's just crap that you heard from someone, probably extremely low quality information down to the topic. So unless it's a lighthearted sort of chat and people are asking you questions, which I don't imagine that they would be, then you don't really have anything to add. And I'll go again, other things that guys sort of don't really get taught. You've got to, in life, specifically if you're younger, you've got to understand that there's a structure. And I see a lot of crypto guys, maybe they get rich all of a sudden and then they fall into sort of the pitfall where they have money, but they have no resume. They haven't fucking done anything that's been fucking documented. You look me up, all my shit's documented. I have a fucking resume, I have a dossier of fucking shit that I've done, good and bad. So anyone that looks me up can go, yeah, all right, well, he's got the results that I would expect for someone talking about that. So a lot of guys now, they sort of either jump online or just start rattling off. And when you're around guys that are on a higher level, they expect to see a resume. It doesn't matter if you have made $5 million on an NFT. Maybe you fucking caught Dogecoin or Shiba Inu or something and made $10 million. It really doesn't matter. Because if you're around me, I have a lot of money. So maybe you have slightly more than me. But that shit doesn't matter to me. I don't care about money. Money is to someone to turn up and say, oh, I have money, that's like some fucking chick turning up saying I have tits. It's just expected. I wouldn't hang out with some fucking loser. So you have to build the foundation. So maybe you're an 18-year-old guy, you're just starting to leave school. You need to build a foundation that when you get to 30 or 40 and people say, pull your ticket and want to fucking read it, it makes sense. Because you get a lot of these, even on YouTube and things like that, these guys that are just career content creators. They've done nothing with their life. They're on fucking YouTube just talking about crap that they read. It's like listening to someone parrot a Tony Robbins fucking clip, Tony Robbins seminar, they're just repeating the same crap, just like popping open all these fucking cheese lines and shit, and a lot of what they say is outdated. It's not really built from any sort of particular experience. They just repeat the same crap that other people repeat. They have very little results, no resume of success. So when you're 18, 19, that's when you've got to start. And it's not so much that you've got to start in a shitty job, because you will as well. You've got to start recognizing management, a boss, an assistant manager, the big boss. Maybe you fucking go off to work at McDonald's and you start off as some shit kicker working on the fucking fryer, which I have done. I've worked in the fucking McDonald's, I've worked at Hungry Jack's, I've worked in the fucking fridge at the back, I've worked on the fucking meat machine, worked on the fryer, I've worked on drive-through, I've graduated all the way up to front counter, which was comfortable. I've done all that crap. So I even knew then that there were steps to get to fucking become worth something. So you need to look and start to see what management do, because ultimately you might not want to be the manager at your fucking work, but you want to learn those leadership skills so that you can start your own gig and you can eventually hire people yourself, you start to look at what they do and you start to sort of be around people that are leading, and over time you'll start to pick up the qualities that they have, and you'll start to see, oh, well, these are my blind spots, you know. To be a leader, you have to be quite self-aware. So if you're around people, it's going to rub off, and they'll start to tell you, you know, specific things that are wrong with you because they're leaders. If you want to be around shit kickers forever and you just want to stay on fucking fries, well, that's on you. You know, you'll pay the price later on. Back when I was in the army, it was much expected that a soldier would just want to stay a soldier. That was sort of what we were told, and that's the sort of what I wanted. That's what I expected. I did the same in security. We used to say, you know, we just want to do the job, go home. We don't want to get any promotions. We don't want to do any promotion courses. Okay, that's just what kind of, it was the conditioned groupthink. You know, I don't want any extra responsibility. With extra responsibility means that you're harder to get rid of. You get more skills. You get paid more. You've got more stepping stones when you get out of the army. They go, oh, he had a certain rank, you know, it comes with a certain amount of status. Specifically, as you go higher, you meet people that fucking more likely matter. So it's just generally the way that things are done now. Like, I know that now. Back then, I didn't fucking know that at all. But I used to think that people who wanted to be around leaders and leadership were just social climbers. You know, I'd say, oh, well, I don't want that. Like, I'm not going to fucking kiss ass and do all that sort of bullshit. I'd rather just do my job, get my fucking 40K a year, fuck off home, drink, do whatever, party, do whatever the fuck I want. I want to know that when I finish work, that's a wrap. It's over. I don't want more responsibility. And that's just such a fucking dumbass thing to think. But I was 25 years old, you know, I didn't know shit. And now I understand that the opposite was true. I understand that a lot of the guys who had rank weren't really doing a lot more work than me. They were getting paid considerably more, and they had considerably more benefits. And when they'd get out, they'd get considerably more benefits as well. And not for a whole lot more work, nor were they a whole lot smarter than me or better than me in any other way. I could have easily done the courses. I just didn't. So I see a lot of guys, and I think they have the same sort of mindset. I see a lot of guys think that if they see a dude, maybe he's 20 years old, and he decides, like, I don't want to be a fucking bum, I'm going to start wearing a suit to work. And maybe he works in an office. And he says, oh, I'm just going to start wearing a suit to work. You know, I don't have to, but, you know, I want to look clean. I want to look serious and professional. And ultimately, I want to get noticed, to fucking get promoted and have my eyes on bigger things. And a lot of guys will sort of tear that guy down and say, like, he's selling out. You know, I don't sell out. You know, you fucking don't be like a pick me. You know, you've got to fuck the system, you know, that you don't want to buy into their crap. That's exactly what you want to do. There's this thing called selling out. People say, oh, you know, you sold out, whatever. There's no one who will become very wealthy who hasn't at some point made a decision to either sell out or buy into a certain fucking angle. If you want to be a fucking loser that doesn't matter, that has no fucking power, not considerable money, not considerable anything, then you don't have to fucking buy in. You don't really have to do any of that crap. You just keep keeping it real, and you dress like you're fucking still 16 years old, but you're 30, and by all metrics, I would consider you a complete failure. So if that's, you know, that's all that you want for the future, so be it. But understand that if you want to be around certain circles, there are certain expectations, and if you don't match them, you may be the fucking most competent guy in the whole building for work. You might be the guy who's in the office and there's just no one that can do the job better than you. You know everything, you know all about the systems, you know everyone there, you know all their fucking names, but you just don't play the game. You just don't, like, you're not dressed, you know that they want you to come in a suit, but for some reason you won't do that. You've got crazy hair, and you know that or fucking crazy beard or something, and you know that they want you to be well kept, but there's some rebellious side to you that says that, no, I'm not going to do that. And it's just such a crazy fucking concept. And I understand it, because obviously I'm covered in tattoos. I fucking understand that extremely well. I understand people's individual expression, the freedom sort of fucking thinking. But I had a massive slave mind. I was brought up to be a worker. I was brought up, my dad was incredibly sick when I was young. I didn't really have anyone sort of guiding me. I went to 8 schools in fucking 8 years. So it was always the new dude. I didn't have anyone there that sort of took me aside and said, you know, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. So a lot of the stuff was only ever figured out through catastrophic failures. And that's why I make a lot of this stuff, because I understand this stuff at an extremely high level now. But when I was growing up, I didn't understand why I consistently made bad decisions and had to suffer for it. And it doesn't matter. So you could be the most competent there. Maybe you fucking just excel at everything. Your boss is still quite happy with you, but you just don't play the game. You just don't really flag, you don't signal that you want to be a leader. You don't signal for management. You don't do any of the management studies, any of the management courses. You don't like the concept of people working under you. You don't want any extra responsibility. I was like that. And I understand that in life now, the opposite's true. I want as much responsibility as I can get for fucking anything. More responsibility in my relationship. I want all the responsibility in my business. I want as much responsibility as my friends can put on me, because with responsibility comes control. You can control the outcome. You know, people are coming to you. It's like volume, it's like traffic, it's like oxygen. You know, people are coming to you. It gives you opportunities to fucking make things happen. If I have no responsibility, I'm like this fucking beacon sitting out in the middle of nowhere. Nothing comes through me. So how the fuck can I really make anything happen? I learnt that back used to sell dope. Guys that made the most money would often put themselves in positions somewhat in the middle of other, so they didn't really pick a side. They just sort of sit in the middle so that they could deal with the many different sort of syndicates, and they could get their hand in as many pies as possible, and a lot of things would come through them. Kind of like a port, you know, out in the middle of fucking a massive ocean, and it's on a popular trade route. That's life, you know, that's oxygen. There's always shit happening, lots of stuff's coming through. You've got a lot of opportunities to fucking get your hand into a bunch of different pies and make a lot of money. It's like that with management, because you've got a lot of people that come to you. You get to meet more people that are important. You get to meet, you know, higher ranking people, and you get exposed to a lot more complicated, but also potentially profitable ideas. And that's what can happen, you know. I've got into crypto, and I only ever got into crypto because I met a fucking dork who told me everything that he knew about crypto in layman's terms. And if I didn't have that chance meeting, this was back when I wasn't involved really in any of that shit. If I didn't have that chance meeting because a friend of mine cancelled and I had to be the one that met him, I would have not made millions of dollars in crypto. It's just that simple. And if I had have thought the same, that I just want to keep the slave mind and just be around sort of broke boys, how the fuck would I ever get exposed to any concepts that were going to make me wealthy? By the time the information has filtered down from management, from the top tier, all the way down to management to below, by the time the information gets past that, it's fucking expired. It's like reading some shit in one of these old books and nothing is actionable. It's all priced in. Everyone that wants to know it already knows that information. It has extremely little value. So, playing your position at work, guys will see their boss, see management, and they don't understand that you might not want to be your boss. You might have so imagine that you've got a general manager at your work. You don't really want to acknowledge that as your boss, but we all know that at work, that's your boss. There's a bigger boss and a bigger boss than that, but your manager is still your boss. He can make things fucking happen. He can make things difficult for you. You're still reporting to him. So for you to just pretend that power dynamic doesn't exist, and that, you know, maybe in your mind you pretend that you're equals, that's just going to infuriate management. And they think that, well, I can't fucking ever think about promoting this guy because he doesn't understand the game and he's going to embarrass me, you know, he's not really signaling for it at all. So with management, it's not about kissing ass, but it's about playing the game. You've got to do things that make your boss or your manager look good. You know, you've got to pass praise that you get to your manager. So someone says, oh, well done, Stephen. How the fuck did you do those fries so fucking well? And then I turn to my manager who's right fucking there and I say, oh yeah, Jeff, whatever the fuck his name is, he taught me. And then my manager gets that praise in front of the big boss. And then he goes, all right, this guy, he's going to make me look good. So I can take this guy with me. See? The manager wants to get more power. And he wants someone alongside him, an offsider, who can gain him more power. He doesn't want someone with him who competes with him. He doesn't want someone with him who treats him badly, or someone with him who he has to sort of worry about. So people take people with them that they know are gonna give them clout, credit, make them look good. I see it a lot in the YouTube space. You'll see a lot of these content creators, and as soon as someone gets famous or gets well known, out of the woodwork, all these little worms come out and say, oh, I built this guy, I did fucking this, and I did this for this guy. It's like someone who's a professional bodybuilder and then some fucking doofus comes out and goes, oh, I taught him how to bench press once. So yeah, he wouldn't be, 260 pound Ronnie Coleman if I didn't teach him how to, bench one time. It's just ridiculous, It just shows me that it's a completely juvenile fucking way of acting. It's a way to make enemies, and it's a way to make sure that that person who's now gotten power looks at you and goes, yeah, they might, smile and nod and be like, yeah, he was great. But no one likes to be sunned on a large platform. So it tells me that these people's own ego is so large that they'll never be powerful. To embarrass someone like that and publicly, so when you do shit like that publicly, people who have more power than you look at that and go, I don't want this guy getting any higher than he is now. He can get to here. I don't want him even where he is now, but I'm gonna cut him off there. No one's gonna fucking deal with him from this point onwards. Whereas he could have probably got to here if he just played the game. And you get a lot of it, older guys too, they're just failing to progress at work, failing to learn the concepts and the leadership skills to one day have staff of their own, which is where considerable money's made. If you're a worker, you've only got X amount of time in the day. Maybe you can work 12 hours a day. Maybe you can do 80 hours a week. You can do your 84 hours a week. It's a lot of fucking work, but it's possible. I've done it. Maybe you can do that. But if you can hire staff, even if you can hire 5 staff and you're now doing like 420 hours a week, and you're only taking, maybe you're only taking $8 from a fucking staff member an hour or less, but now you've scaled it in a way that you don't have to fucking be at that job anymore. They're doing the work, you're sitting back a bit more, and then you can hire more staff, you can start another center, you can make a bunch of things happen. You're not selling your time for money anymore. So that's one thing about learning leadership skills. And then I'm gonna say another fucking topic that I see this a lot more on YouTube and fucking Twitter, shit like that, is bullshit platforms. And don't ever get involved, don't ever commit to a cause that you cannot directly profit off. So I learned this back when I was selling dope. I learned that quite early on that it's better to never pick one side. And I know people say, oh, it's a fence sitter, they want you as a puppet, right? They want you on their cause. They don't care if it's best for you. They don't care if it's worse for you. They don't care if you lose. They just want you as a number. Just a number on their fucking ballot thing. Just, I want, this 1 in 10 million, we're not gonna look after him, but we don't care. I learned that it's best to never really pick a side, especially if it's controversial, because I see a lot of guys now and they start young and they're so fucking ingrained, such a part of their identity is based around politics. Could be fucking football, sport in general. It could be fucking social causes. It could be any sort of other bullshit stuff that goes on. Maybe you're too involved in reality TV, but you're giving all your energy and power away to something that can never ever give you a return. See, when I watch TV, if I watch a movie or an old movie that I liked, I'm still getting some value because it's entertaining me. It's relaxing. I'm having a laugh at some of it. I'm getting some value out of it. So it is somewhat of a value exchange. It's got my attention. but I'm still getting something back where I can say, yeah, that was at least funny, you know? Whereas when people get too weaponized into these political causes, they're getting angry, they're getting pissed off, they're feeling like it's sort of an us versus them mentality. They've loudly picked a side, which means they've now isolated the other half of the population. And it's pointless for the most part, because to think that one person makes a difference is really dumb. And then it's also something that you guys kind of putting a battery in your back, right? And sending you off to do something that you really gain nothing from. You're basing your identity around something, or even just if it's only a small part of your identity, it's around something that you will never get a return from. And someone could say, oh, that's entertaining, but it's not, because it's quite negative. Not only, it doesn't, if I watch a movie on TV, I haven't isolated half the population, you know? People get so obsessed with these social causes and these like politics, and it's both sides. I just don't agree with just one or the other. I know that it's both sides. So it's not fucking, there's a reason why, and then people I know will turn around and say, oh, but so-and-so is really involved in fucking politics and he's extremely successful. Understand the difference between people who are consuming that content and people who are producing that content. They're taking energy, money, and attention. The guy who's consuming it is giving his energy, money, and attention away. So yes, I understand that some people into it are very successful. I understand that some people use it as a strategy to gain all those things. Some people, I would say most people that are on those specific causes don't believe what they say. They just use it for a way to get people on their side. Because when you have attention, again, it's like that harbor reference that I made. When you have attention, you have eyes on you, you have volume going through you, you have energy going through you. You can divert it into causes that you want to make money. Not just make money, but get power. And when you get at those higher levels, power and attention are much more valuable than money. So you get a lot of these sort of minnows, sort of peons, and they're fucking just obsessed with all these social causes. And it's just not for their benefit. You know, nothing that could ever be decided on is better for them. It's just capturing their attention. Again, the harbor reference. So that's why when you turn on TikTok and things like that, they are extremely controversial, because they don't care what you think. They don't care if you look at it and you're like, oh, that's fucking stupid, or it's designed that way. It's designed to be extremely controversial, because if they get your attention, that's all that they want. They know the world is extremely loud. So if they can get your attention by any means, even if it's angry, even if you look at it and go, oh, that's so stupid, I want to spit on the fucking screen. It doesn't matter, because they've had their effect that they wanted. They've captured just that little bit of your attention. And from here, I'll go into an optimal strategy to become successful. And not just successful, but I'll say powerful. You've got to build a dossier of accomplishments over time. If you're under 25, no one expects that you've done anything. You haven't done shit worth fucking mention. Maybe you finished school or something, no one cares about that. Just about accomplishments. Guys come out and say, oh, I've been to this school, I've been to this, I've been to that. Great, but now the expectations of you are just higher. Schooling, education, gives you a higher ceiling. It allows you to be in rooms of people that are more influential, somebodies. It gets you in that room. Like a Ferrari gets you a fucking 5-second look from a chick. But if you go in that room and you've done nothing and no one cares about you and you don't know how to make an impression, you don't understand that these people in there are more powerful and hold your whole fucking career in their hand and as such future. And if you go in and don't really acknowledge that, you'll be like the guy who gets out of the Ferrari and he's some fucking dweeb. It's a magnifier, because people will just look at you and be like, oh, he's got all this education and he's still a fuck up. That's why they're guys that can have a master's and still be working fucking digging ditches. Doesn't mean shit. It's just creates a higher expectation of you. Yes, if you've got a high degree, it does, and you do become successful, you can become extremely successful, because it's good for social proof. It's good to be part of a certain club. You know, as you get more powerful, there are certain schools that people expect you to have gone to. I've had it in funding where I would meet people and they'd be like, oh, have you done this study? Have you done that? Where did you study at? And I'd be like, yeah, I haven't studied there. I don't know anyone there. I never did that sort of study. So it does influence your fucking, gives you a higher ceiling for how you can go. But it also, I would say, gives you not a higher floor. You can still have the exact same life as someone who hasn't been to school. You can still get fucking crushed. So I would say the optimal strategy, get into as many rooms as you can. I'm gonna say you're the average guy who hasn't got a degree and you're maybe 20 years old and you're kind of just starting your life out. I would be getting into as many fucking rooms as I can. I'd take a good hard look in the mirror and say what I actually am good at. It doesn't really matter what you like. It doesn't matter if, the greatest lie people are told is that, oh, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. I might love flowers. I might fucking love roses to fucking death. I may love everything about them and say, oh, I'll go be a florist. I'll run a florist shop. But it's not profitable. So if it's not a profitable industry, for me, it doesn't really matter what I fucking like. But then I might be good at tech, something in tech, or I might be good at building websites or something like that. It's extremely easy. I can make high quality things. I can scale it out. I'm always better to look in the mirror and focus on what I'm good at and turn that into something that I'm exceptional at. I see a lot of guys and they think that they have to be good at everything. They think that, oh, I'll just be okay at so many things. And that's not what winners do. Winners are great at one thing. Winners you meet are exceptional at one thing. They're fucking built their bones on one fucking topic. I meet investors and that's very much their foundation. And when you have a very strong foundation in one thing, it might be a trade, it might be your employment, trade, it might be fucking sport. If you've got you're exceptional in one field, you'll always have that. So you'll always have a trade or something like that to fall back on. And then you can say, all right, well, I'm exceptional at that. Now I can build out the other stuff. You know, I'm fucking in the top 5% of that specific field. Now I can go and bring all the other crap up. Because when you're exceptional at something, it's very near impossible that you'll go down into shit. So you can just maintain a very high level at that without a lot of effort. See, with me, with investing, crypto, markets, money, I understand all that shit at such a high level that I don't have to fucking watch the markets every day. I'm almost at the point where I don't even have to see the markets and I know exactly what's happening in the market. I don't have to fucking monitor it every second. I sort of think months out in advance for myself, and they tend to play out as I predict. But I would be getting into as many rooms as possible in the fields that I was actually good at, and then I would be gaining a network in those in those fields. I'd be building up with a crew of like-minded men. If I was 20 years old, I'd be moving in with guys. I'd be moving in with another guy or two, and I would move in. I did this I was probably 27, 28. I had been PTing, and this is out of the army. I did a PT course and then worked as a PT for maybe 6 months. And I fucking didn't really like it. I thought that I had to lie to clients to keep them on board. I had a lot of fat clients that really didn't really give a fuck about results. They sort of just wanted to be patted on the back for not sticking to their diet and shit like that. So I didn't really like it. And by the time I was paying my rent and then getting paid at the end of the week, I was probably only making maybe $500 a week or something, Australian. So I wasn't fucking making a lot of money. And I learnt then that I wanted to get out of the fucking PTing. I said, this is bullshit. So me and a friend of mine who worked in the gym as well, we got together and fucking made a massive plan to never have to go back to work again. And it worked out very well. It worked out well for a lot of years. I'd ultimately end up going to prison for it, but I had a very interesting life and I don't regret it. So I learned then the benefit of guys getting together and combining their minds and fucking drive into one cause. Guys can get together and start, might be an e-commerce brand, Maybe you want to get together and learn. It's easier to learn when two people are learning the same topic, also, two guys, because it's just easier to stay motivated. It's easier to inspire each other. Sometimes it can be like a competitive drive sort of starts to kick in a bit, and you think like, I don't want to be the one that fucking doesn't understand this because I see that he's improving. So what's wrong with me? You know, so it can force the best out of you. I see a lot of guys, and I think when they're 20, they just hang around fuck-ups, and they think, oh, he's a cocksucker, but he says some funny stuff here and there, and he gets really drunk and vomits in his own shoe. You know, that's okay. Fucking everyone's known people like that, but I don't think back now and think, oh yeah, I really miss the dudes that did that. You know, I don't think of anyone who does that sort of shit has been a success. You know, you've got to start to get picky with who you spend your time with, even at 20. You've got to understand that you bring really nothing to the table when you're talking to guys that are more successful. So I know that it is very hard to meet guys if you're 20 years old and sit down with them and give any sort of value exchange, because what you know has fucking really zero value. I could just go pay someone $15 an hour to replace anything that you can ever do for me. You know, anything you could possibly know could be done by probably some drone in fucking some third world country for $2 an hour. So your time and input is extremely low. So if you do get in the room with people that matter, just shut up. You know, there's a massive skill in just holding your tongue, and people will appreciate that. People like guys that know exactly where they stand in a room. And I know a lot of guys cope and they sort of think like, oh, I have to put this, you know, real hard exterior out so people think that, you know what, I'm this guy, or people think I deserve to be in this room, and, you know, I have to act this certain way, and I have to laugh a bit about my accomplishments or whatever. As you get to the higher levels, people just want to see your resume. So what you say really has fucking zero value. You know, you can say all these things, but if people say like, what have you done in that field that, you know, you can show me right now, and you turn around and say, you know, oh, I don't have any evidence of anything I've ever done, people just shake their head at you. You just don't understand how things are. But I would spend 20 to 25 failing a lot. I'd spend 20 to 25 taking a lot of risks, very risky positions. I'd start to build up a portfolio, and that would be a portfolio in tech stocks, crypto. Again, quite high risk plays. I know that guys who fucking have those sort of ages don't really have a lot of money, but I'd be putting probably 10% of my wage aside to put it into a portfolio, because at those ages, even 20 to 30, even to 35, you can afford to take all these risks because time will bail you out. Even if you enter the market at the wrong time, you've got time that will bail you out. Versus someone who's 60, 65 years old and they say, oh, I want to invest in tech, and then tech crashes, and then they need to take retirement at 70. So they're in for a hard time. Whereas if you're younger, tech is obviously the place to be. You know, do you think tech's not advancing over the next 20 years? Or do you think that we're going back to the fucking horse and cart? You know, it's quite obvious to me exactly where things are going, just much more of the same. So I would be building a portfolio at that age. I'd be learning about money. I'd be getting an obsession with money. I had an obsession with money where I couldn't fucking rest. I used to go to sleep at night and I would just think, as soon as I laid down, I used to get times where I'd fucking train at 2 or 3 in the morning. So I could be so exhausted that I could just lay down and go to sleep. And I still couldn't fucking sleep. I'd still be looking at the roof thinking, I've failed, you know, I'm fucking destitute, I'm broke, I've got fucking nothing. I could fucking lose this shitty room that I was renting, and fucking no one would help me. No one gives a single fuck, you know? I was hungry. I had this fucking massive burning fucking hunger, like an aggression. So you don't have that. You don't have that fucking aggression because you're sitting there watching porn and fucking sitting there swiping on Tinder trying to get fucking playing roulette with pussy. You know, you're too distracted to understand that aggression is your biggest strength as a guy. You're told to be stoic and fucking do all this sort of cope and denial sort of mechanisms to who you really are. But that anger is, if you can turn it on and turn it off and control it and push it in certain directions, you can fucking knock over a damn wall with your fucking power. And that's what these guys know, and that's why they take so much attention with all these weaponized fucking guys who jump on and start waving certain flags and doing all this shit. Power just moves to one person and they channel it all in and then push it into the direction they want to go and just continue to win. While these other people, just like a battery, they just deplete themselves. If you understand that, we'll move on to the next point. So you're 25 years old now. You've built a little bit of a resume. I wouldn't say that it's going to be anything considerable, but you know a few people that matter. See, a lot of guys, to even imagine that someone passes me their fucking black book, their fucking phone contacts, no one in there can do anything for me. They're all fucking average people at best. Say, oh, this is my manager from fucking Donut King. You know, that's the highest person that's in your fucking thing. How the fuck are they gonna help me? I need people that, if I ever need shit done, it's big shit. Nothing fucking small like getting me a free upsize at fucking Donut King. That shit's peasant shit. If I had only that, I would be incredibly embarrassed. So, see a lot of guys, so you're now 25 plus, and you've built a few people in your phone that matter. I would be starting to figure out how I can spend more time with them. How can I get around these people more? And how can I get around them and then get around people they know? And again, it's going to come down to, do you praise them in public? Do you show them respect? Are you a person that they have fun around? Do they feel safe fucking to bring you into their circle? Are you a fucking maniac that's gonna... I see a lot of guys and they will get introduced to a new social circle and then they'll run in and start talking about all these social issues and fucking politics and religion and controversial topics. That is just the fastest way to nuke yourself in a room. See a lot of guys and they're conditioned to think that it's us versus them, you know, they have to be on one side of the population or the other. And if you think like that, it's just so incredibly crippling, because I do business with people and they're on both sides. I don't care about that. I just care about making money, making good contacts, and both sides of the fucking fence getting paid well and looking after each other. You sit there and you're so bogged down all these social issues and crap that they program with you with to divide you, race and religion and all this crap. You don't even understand that the truth is generally in the middle, and they do that crap to divide you so that... I've shared this once before, and it's quite obvious to me that this is exactly what's happening. Once spoke to a very wealthy guy, and he told me, Stephen, if I'm a billionaire, he said that my job as a multi-billionaire becomes to make sure that getting to a billionaire is harder. So I've climbed this ladder to get to billionaire status. I now need to break the ladder from under me, so then no one else can climb it, or only a very select few fucking, you know, magicians can get up there, but most people can't climb it. So they do a lot of this divisive social issues crap to create infighting, because it's very hard to get ahead if there's a lot of fucking drama. You know, if you're a middle class or specifically lower class, you're around a lot of controversy. I remember what it's like to be low middle class, and they were quite obsessed with the current social crap that was going on, that again, they weren't able to ever profit off. They were just giving their time and attention and money in most cases away to a cause that was just there to be like an abyss, a drain. So I would accept that I need to keep my own attention, and I need to give my attention to things that are gonna pay me a dividend or further my power levels. So I'll be trying to get around powerful people. I'll be contacting those people on my phone, trying to provide value. I'd be giving them props in front of people. I'd be acknowledging that they're at a higher level than I am. And I would be learning things that they know that aren't low-level skills. that you see. See, now you start to get exposed to people who have some sort of money. You know, I was probably 27, 28 before I met a guy who was a millionaire. And maybe I was older than that. And I was, I think, the first millionaire in my family. So I wasn't, until I was a lot older, around more high-level concepts. And I know, again, through the Harbour reference, that when people are coming through you, like coming around and fucking giving you their energy, their ideas, they're talking about things in your ear, you're meeting people that are higher level and higher status. The shit that they talk about is higher level things. They're talking about their businesses, they're talking about new concepts that they've heard, and they're higher level things. They're talking about their friend who just made millions of dollars in a certain field, and person who's opening a business and that, and this person's just got funding for their project from this fund. And funds invest in things. Again, the Harbour reference, that's life and energy. So there is millions and hundreds of millions of dollars moving through this specific field. So I know that that might be a field that I need to fucking get into. That might be a field that I can go and stand in and fucking capture some of that money, you know? A lot of guys, if you're around just lower level dudes, and I have nothing against lower level dudes, fucking I started there. I was there for a considerable amount of time. I did all my fucking dues. I paid them all in full. That's why I'm here. So I understand that if you're around the lower level dudes, you've got to find a way to be around the higher level dudes. You can only get there by providing value. So now you're 25, build a bit of a resume. You understand the dynamics, a bit of power. You know how to give credit. You know how to give respect. You know how to humble yourself and shut your mouth when you have to. And you're starting to learn when to speak up because you're gaining some competency in certain fields. You're trying to learn a higher level skill now, you should be. You should be learning from people who are very successful by now, millionaires. Do what they do, learn what they did, and copy it. You don't need to have all these fucking ideas. I see a lot of dudes now and they've got all these ideas and these concepts for businesses, and some of them are complicated as fuck. You, a lot of the time, can get rich just by copying another person's idea and making it work for you. Maybe this idea has made the dude 100 million, and maybe it can only make you 2 million, but that's more money than you have. You don't need the whole market in a massive field, see? You only need a very small market in a field that's enormous to get rich. So you're starting to learn being around people that have high level ideas and ways that you can actually make considerable money. And you're learning those areas, you're getting around again more people, and maybe you're doing this now for 3 years, you hit 28. Maybe you're 28 now and you've been learning one specific high income skill or ability, and you've done that for 3 years and you're 28 now. Maybe that field, let's say investing. Maybe you understand now investing, and let's take it as crypto investing because I know everything there is to know about that. So maybe you're 28 years old now, you're a crypto investor, you know how to pick projects, you know how to do market research, you even know how to trade, you understand sentiment to certain projects, you understand market psychology, what people think, investor psychology, you understand fucking cycles of a market, you understand the trends, you understand what people think, what they buy, what they like, and what they sell, and when they sell, and how to fucking profit from all of that in between. So you understand all that shit now. And now you've got a high income skill. You can start your own crypto project. You can work for another crypto project for a year or two, learn everything that there is to know about it, get clout, get recognition, get understanding of the market, build an audience, and then start your own project. Or you can get into the funding side of things. Or maybe you're just a good trader and you've got a history of trading success and you want to open some sort of trading firm. Well, now it's a high income skill. So these sort of avenues are open to you. These are avenues to become a multi-millionaire. These are avenues to become a multi-millionaire in a few years. These are not avenues that you would have got access to if you had have stayed on the fucking fries at McDonald's, playing your, not recognizing, fucking acknowledging that there's a process to get to places. So let's say you're 28 years old, you move into funding now. You move into funding, you work for a fund at 29. You get a job there as essentially the coffee boy and you're doing market research. So you understand that when you move into a fund, you don't really have a lot to offer because you don't really have a lot of proven experience in that field. You understand the concepts now, and you might have some sort of proven experience working on these smaller projects, but now you're essentially dropped down to coffee boy. You're not on a lot of money, maybe around 60K a year, and you're helping do market research on certain projects, trends, so they can know when to deploy capital in certain ideas. I mean, crypto gaming, people knew 6 to 12 months ahead of that time that was a market to go into. DeFi, again, they knew 6 to 12 months before that. NFTs, they knew 6 to 12 months before that. And next time, I can tell you in a few years, it'll be metaverse. And they'll say, oh, but metaverse was last cycle. No, Meta is going to be Meta. What Meta are doing at Facebook, Meta with their $500 billion valuation, which will be over $1 trillion by the time, metaverse launches. That's the market cap of the whole crypto market. So if you don't think that there's going to be a lot of copycat projects or value leached from that sort of market into the crypto market, then you just don't understand market cycles and trends and fucking habits and how people think. I understand that. I know there'll be a considerable amount of copycat projects and some of them will go 1,000x. So again, you're now the coffee boy at a fund and you're fucking getting all the coffees, all the bullshit. You might have to listen to some pinhead dweeb talking down to you here and there, but sometimes it's better to bite your tongue and swallow your pride and just sort of go with fucking, someone's not disrespecting you, but maybe they're just talking to you as though you're a minnow because you are in fact a fucking very junior level person. So going crazy at them or blowing up or getting ratchet or something just doesn't help you in the long term. Because eventually, if you play your cards right, you can become his boss. You can become his equal and then his boss. So you've got to think of life as a very long game. Guys think that if they're 25 and they take no shit, they're 40 and they can't really pay rent anymore. So they have to take a lot more shit in the long run. So if you want to become worth something, maybe the coffee boy 28, 29, you've worked there, maybe you do your 2 years there, 2 or 3 years, you and another guy that you see potential in, and maybe another one as well. You guys learn the business, learn the industry, get all the contacts and decide, fuck it, let's go and start our own fund. We've got investors as well, investors on good terms. I've made investors money. Let's start our own fund. We can put together, maybe $10, $20 million by then. And maybe you're taking maybe 3% fees. So what's that? Maybe you're taking like, I don't know, 600K a year out. And it sounds like a lot, but it's not. You'd have a lot of outgoings. But that's how it starts, right? And then once you start getting results of your own fund and people see that, you get the flow charts out and all the boomer shit that they can see and say, oh, well, this guy actually gets results. You can run that up to 50, 100M quite quickly. And then you're starting to make millions of dollars a year. And distributing it between, a few people, it starts to get quite interesting because a lot of the time with crypto too, you can take payment in tokens, take payment in Ethereum, Bitcoin, which tends to move up. So you can hold it to the next market cycle and you can make considerable amounts of money. But, so now you've got your own fund, maybe you're 32, 33, and now you're getting a lot of respect, recognition, clout, and you can just grow that, continue to grow that. You can merge with another that's successful. That's just one path that people can take if they don't want to be a shit kicker, but it's not easy to think that, oh yeah, I have to take me 10 years to become something successful. That's just generally the way that life works, It's not, what comes quick usually has very little value. You think, oh yeah, I want to build a big chest or I want to build big arms or I want to build fucking anything really valuable. It's going to take a considerable amount of time and effort. Whereas if you want to be a fat fuck, you can go and eat shit for 2 months and have a massive belly, It's what comes quick is usually the shit stuff. I can jump on Tinder right now and get 50 girls over, but 49 are going to be complete garbage. What's easy is never really worth having, and what's valuable generally takes time to acquire. So that's one route to becoming successful. And again, if I was an older guy and I was only just sort of coming to these terms now at 50, 60, it still wouldn't be in vain. It still wouldn't be in vain to accept that these are the way that things go. And it's not a bad thing to want to be someone in your community. I see a lot of guys, and the narrative, right? Because the powerful people want you to think that you don't want to be powerful, right? If I'm rich it's better for me to tell you that you don't want to be rich because it's too much responsibility, it's too much pressure, it's too much fucking, it's too difficult, don't do it, it's not enjoyable. Because then you go, oh yeah, I don't want that, so I'll just be a peon. You know, I'll be a worker ant, because why would I ever want to be anything more? He says that it sucks, you know, he says money's bad. So, and he's rich, so he must be right, you know, but it's just a strategy. And a lot of guys, when they are powerful, they want to spread a narrative that you don't want power because, you know, it's crushing weight on your shoulders. You don't want to be anyone that in the community that they know you. You know, you just want to be the grey man that no one knows because then you have no responsibility to anyone. No. There's just so many benefits to people knowing you as soon as you walk outside the door. There are so many more benefits to people knowing you, even if they hate you. Even if you walk around the street and people don't like you, it's still better than if you walk around the street and people are indifferent to who you are. Because you can change the concept that people don't like you. Over time, you can turn them at least neutral to you. So you can do something with that sort of attention. And if you become a master, you can learn to use negative attention to get everything that you ever wanted. I used a lot of negative attention to get to where I am. I learned that it's easy for me as a talent. If people throw fucking stones at me, I know that I can turn those stones into something beautiful. But if people don't do anything to me, people don't even give me even a fucking look, it's extremely difficult for me to make things happen. It's much harder than even if they hate me. So I'm not completely selfish on here. I'm never gonna fucking be on here selling a product. I'm already fucking rich, I'm already successful. People would say, oh, why would you sort of dropping the lid or unleashing fucking this sort of dynamics of power, you know, it doesn't really benefit me, why would I do it? I have a selfish reason. I want to be on here to get more attention as well, because I know that with attention, later on, I can make things happen. You know, I don't know exactly what I would do with it now, but over time, there's still very little advantages into being unknown, you know? You don't want to, if you're fucking selling dope for years, maybe you don't want people talking about you as much behind your back. But if you're just trying to be a legit guy, trying to build a reputation of being, you know, reputation of honor and integrity, you should make your achievements, anything that you do, charity, anything, extremely public. Because if you have doubters, and you can fucking search online, I've had haters come after me, people come after me with my past, they will be extremely vocal. So if you have only got one side of the fucking, like the scales are here, and then the bad side is weighed down, and you've never shown that you've done good things for anyone, well, now you're in fucking trouble. You know, you've got no proof that you're a good person, and just saying that you are is not really anything, you know? So your actions that are memorable, or they are fucking good things, you should make them very public. And it's just a word of advice for that. And I think that's been a long one today. So if you want to go into the next topic, I think that I'm just going to keep them coming with different things that I think your dad or fucking some sort of mentor should have passed on to you. And yeah, until next time, lads.